Welcome back to the channel, guys. We are breaking down the judge that dismissed Justin Baldoni's $400 million defamation lawsuit against Blake Lively and $250 million lawsuit against the New York Times. But does he have connections to T-Mobile? And has maybe this happened in the past? Well, of course it has, because this case never ends. It's like the song that never ends, but the case that never ends. And we are diving into it today. I have been hoping to get to this the last couple of days, and there's just been so much breaking news. And y'all, I only have so much time in a day. Lately, I don't have time to wash my hair, or pee, or get water. I had to remind myself to get water, let alone keep up on all this. So we're going to dive into this. I know it's an odd time for the community to go live. So if you're on the replay, please say hi in the comments. Let me know what you think about this. But we are diving into some very sketchy stuff that is going on with Judge Lyman, who is the judge presiding over the Justin Baldoni Blake Lively case. Now, I'm big on numbers. I like to look for threads. And one of the things I found really interesting was the timeline. So how are you guys doing? As you hop in, say hi. I know some other creators have been covering this. I'm going to be quite honest and transparent, guys. The only creator I'm watching right now is Emily D. Baker and the Karen Reed trial. That is all I am watching. I have not seen anyone else's take on this. They may have more than me. They may have different things. I genuinely have no idea. Hello. It's so nice to see you guys. Because yes, in the minutes in a day that I have that aren't working or creating content, I've been watching the Karen Reed trial, which I don't know if you guys have, but wow, that is another case where a judge needs to step away quickly. Should have been before it ever started, but that is another judge that needs to step away. All right, let's look at this right here, my friends. So I pulled up what I could find going back. Sorry, if anyone's, oh my gosh, how far down is this? I pulled up his 2020, I believe this is, financial disclosures. So Judge Lyman, again, this is the guy that is supposed at 9:30 in the UK. Perfect time. Amazing. It is dinner time for me, but I'm here with you and I would rather be nowhere else than hang out with you guys. So it's all good. I pulled up 2020. So this is the furthest back I could personally find. Are there more ways? Probably. I'm not American, so I don't have the ins on how to find stuff in the States. But 2020 is as far as I could find back. And that's good enough for me. Why? Well, let's go down. So you see here, and I want you to keep in mind the amount of money that he has in T-Mobile, because you're going to want to remember that for when we go back to the case that was overturned because he did not disclose his wife's investments with a bank that he gave a favorable ruling to. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. And here's the thing I want to say, guys. The scariest thing about this is the power judges have and how they can destroy someone's life with that power. Again, Karen Reed. Oh, see, I don't know how to do those reactions, but I always use it as a sign from the universe that I'm on the right track. Karen Reed's another example as well. Whether you think she is guilty or not, the judicial system has been horrific over there. So why is this significant to me? So we have T-Mobile. It's the stock TMUS. And we see here the amount in the bracket he had to disclose. So 2020. It was $15,001 to $50,000. It was cash market value. And he had to disclose that he bought an additional $1 to $15,000. This is February 6th. Sorry, I'm losing my voice. I've done nothing but be on calls and record all day. February 6th, 2020. And right here, T-Mobile TMUS, again, buy additional. This was on the 12th, another $1 to $15,000. So let's go on a walk on memory lane. And if I'm looking down, it's because I have little sticky notes. Usually I have actual slides for you guys, but I've been putting this off until I could get you guys slides and have it all nicely laid out. And unless I don't sleep this week, I just didn't have the time. So when we look at the timeline breakdown, November 2019, Ryan Reynolds officially acquires ownership stake in Mint Mobile. You might be like, it's T-Mobile. Stay with me here. There is a publicly announced and widely covered in the press that he becomes majority stakeholder and the face of the brand. So he becomes essentially the personal brand, Ryan Reynolds, for Mint Mobile. Early 2020. So what I can find in my research so far is January to February 2020. February 2020. That's weird, right? Anyone else think that is weird? So early 2020, January to February, Ryan Reynolds is already everywhere in Mint Mobile campaigns, and he begins starring in viral ads and writes their press copy himself. That is the exact same time as he's kind of going viral as the face. That's the exact same time that we're seeing Judge Lyman purchase more. He had 2 times, February 6th and February 12th. Now, I can't find anything that links them necessarily at that time. We will get to the fact that his brother worked with Blake. I think it was in 2008. I have an article up about that. But I really can't find anything like pictures with them or, you know what I mean? I can't find anything that really confirms at that time that Ryan might be saying, nudge, nudge, now's the time to buy more, right? I can't find anything like that, but it's very interesting. So he buys more T-Mobile stock. Mint Mobile at this time here is still independent, but, and this is the piece to keep in mind, because at first, when I first started finding this, I thought, well, big deal. When I first started looking at this, I thought it's no big deal because Mint Mobile and T-Mobile at this time weren't connected. It didn't matter. But when I started diving in, what I found was Mint Mobile was still independent. However, it was already a mobile virtual network operator using T-Mobile's infrastructure. So around this time where Ryan started going viral as the face of Mint Mobile, Judge Lyman purchases from $1 to $15,000 on January or February 6th, and another $1 to $15,000 on February 12th. And at that time, the connection is Mint Mobile had been using T-Mobile's infrastructure. So in other words, T-Mobile was already financially intertwined with Mint Mobile as its carrier. And that's when we started to see even Ryan Reynolds going more viral over this. And it was very public knowledge. When we look at March 2023, which is going to be important in a minute because we're going to be pulling up some more records, T-Mobile fully acquires Mint Mobile in a $1.35 billion deal. Reynolds cashes out part of his stake, but stays on as creative lead. Now let's pull up the other form. So again, we're seeing this here, and you want to remember this because this judge had a problem with this in the past. Also, if judges bought, what can we expect from jury? Well, there was also in the Karen Reed case a lot of concerns around the jury. There were a lot of concerns. The judge just changed his rulings, allowing Blake to use emotional distress. We did see that in the earlier, we read that on the live this morning. This is our second live today. That's okay. All right. Let's see about pulling this up. Okay, so remember that 2023, T-Mobile fully acquires Mint Mobile in a $1.3 million deal. See if I can share this screen. I've never tried to share something that's not pulled up in a browser. His 2023 disclosures. Well, when you look at that, T-Mobile, now I can't find, it's not sold. He's still on with it. I can't find on this one that he necessarily bought any, but it's just weird that he's still there in 2023. Let's see if there's. So dividends and the common stock. So 2023, that's the latest I can find, or I guess the most recent is a better way to put it that I can find. He's still involved with T-Mobile. This should have been a situation where he recused himself. Hi, Julia. Recused himself from the case, but he did not. Now, the interesting piece of this, we're going to pull up some articles because I want you guys to see this. And there's no way someone can argue this is completely impartial and on the up and up because this guy's already been. Wait till you see it. Yes, you're right. It's already happened with him before. You got it. So this case here, or this article here, federal judges are mirroring the Supreme Court on financial disclosures. There must be something about life tenure that makes it nearly impossible for federal judges to take responsibility for faults in their financial disclosures. The leading example is Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, who once claimed he had inadvertently, had no idea, failed to disclose 20 years of his wife's employment. Perhaps inevitably, the resort to implausible excuses appears to have filtered down to the trial courts. Federal judges are required by law, so he was required by law to report their own and their spouse's financial holdings every year and are legally and ethically bound to keep themselves informed of their financial interests and make a reasonable effort to keep informed about the personal financial interests of the judge's spouse. So it's not even, and you're going to see that come up in a minute, it's not even an excuse for him to say, I didn't know about my wife's in the situation we're going to be pulling up. Recusal is mandatory if the judge or spouse holds a financial interest, however small, in a party to the proceeding. He already in 2020, he bought more in 2020, but it was listed as his investment in T-Mobile, $15,001 to $15,000 in 2020. Then he bought, again, remember, February 6th, another $1 to $15,000, and on February 12th, another $1 to $15,000. To me, that's not small. But they're supposed to, however small. Goes on to say the system doesn't always work. And these are the people that are deciding, these courts are deciding life and death for people. This gets me so worked up. The 2021 reporters of the Wall Street Journal conducted an extensive review of disclosure statements and court dockets, which identified 152 federal judges who failed to recuse themselves from a total of 1,076 cases in which they or their family owned stock. How he is still on this case is blowing my mind. Everyone she touches, she is bringing everyone down with her because the internet sleuths, mommy sleuths, as Glamour likes to call people, find everything out because you can find his financial records. So unless he wasn't disclosing it, but it's there disclosed. One case involved Judge Louis Lyman of the Southern District of New York, who presided over a multi-billion-dollar antitrust case, even though his wife held stock in Bank of America, the lead defendant. Yeah. In Lidovich versus Bank of America and all, filed in April 2020, 2020 was a busy year for Lyman. Several investor groups sued over a dozen investment banks, claiming they had conspired to fix certain bond pricing. Lyman presided for 18 months without recusing himself. Yeah, I agree. People need to be angry. Absolutely. Because it's, it's one thing to write it off and be like, oh, whatever, it's T-Mobile, until it's your life on the line. Yeah, he has some explaining he'll need to do. No wonder Blake Lively waltzes around unbothered. Exactly. She knows she has a judicial dragon. Yep. And this guy obviously has no problem doing it. He's done it before. On October 25th, 2021, he ruled in favor of Bank of America and the other defendants, dismissing the case in its entirety. Does that sound familiar to anyone? I mean, sure, he left the door open for Justin and Brian to argue a couple pieces, but the biggest parts of the case. Hi, Tundra. What are you up to, my love? were just gone. And I've seen a lot of people say, and lawyers say, you know, I bet Brian Friedman would have been at least betting on, I think he wants to go lie in bed. Sorry, Tundra, my little husky, at this time, he likes to lie in bed and I finish up on my computer for the day. So he's very sad that I'm not lying upstairs with him. You know, what I've heard a lot from lawyers is Brian Friedman was probably banking on Lyman giving him a chance to amend it. Well, it's almost 1 a.m. here. That's so funny, Mel. I guess not if you have a financial stake in it. If you're maybe potentially allegedly connected to Blake and Ryan, no wonder Blake's out on a victory lap. No wonder Blake's gallivanting around town with her smug smile. It's wild. I think she knew all along it was going to be moved. It was going to be like this. In February 2020, while the case was on appeal, the Wall Street Journal asked Lyman about his non-recusal in 13 cases, including Lidovich. Shortly afterward, Lyman directed the clerk of court to file notices to parties in those cases saying he should have disqualified himself. Well, thanks, buddy. Thanks. Nice of you to say that after. The letter to the Lidovich parties, dated February 25th, 2020, said that it had been brought to his attention that his wife owns stock in Bank of America. Well, I'm going to guess, Judge Lyman, that people are going to bring it to your attention that you're kind of supposed to have recused yourself from this case. I would hope Brian Friedman and Justin's team is looking at getting this case reassigned and that decision overturned, because this is inexcusable. And not only that, but as we saw, he started out with a minimum in 2020 of $15,000 to $50,000 in T-Mobile stock, and then bought more in 2020. You don't have that kind of money in a stock and you're like, oh, it's been brought to my attention I have T-Mobile stock, and oh shit, it was brought to my attention that Ryan Reynolds is connected to it. I had no idea. I think the only reason people know the cell phone company is because of Ryan Reynolds. But regardless, he sent a letter to the Lidovich party saying it was brought to his attention that his wife owns stock in Bank of America that neither affected nor impacted his decision in the case, but would have required recusal. This was $1 billion case. And he's saying, it wouldn't have impacted my decision, but I was supposed to recuse myself. So what are you going to say, Lyman, that it didn't impact your decision at all when you tossed out Brian Friedman's amended complaint without giving him a chance to go back over it? Are you kind of worried about how this might affect your stocks if Ryan Reynolds goes down? Completely insane. The letter invoked an ethics advisory option, providing guidance for addressing disqualification that is not discovered until after a judge has participated in a case. Lyman's letter was at best misleading. The specific wording that it had come to his attention and disqualification that is not discovered implied that he had no knowledge of his wife's Bank of America stock until after he dismissed the Lidovich case. That is not so. On May 29th, 2021, Lyman filed his disclosure report for 2020, certified by him as accurate, true, and complete, clearly listing the Bank of America stock. So he can lie through his teeth. This is the guy that just shut the door on Justin Baldoni and Brian Friedman on the $400 million defamation suit and the $250 defamation suit against the New York Times. And threw them a bone with their other stuff that they can keep going with. Thus, Lyman had actual knowledge of the Bank of America investment at least 5 months before he dismissed the claims against the defendants, and 9 months before he disclosed the stock holding to the parties. Lyman's evasive letter imposed much wasted effort on the litigants and appellant judges who had to proceed on the erroneous assumption that he had no knowledge. Guys, this is insane. This is crazy. That the wasted effort, money, time, because they were operating based on this assumption that he had no knowledge of the conflict until after it was reported by the Wall Street Journal, which occurred after Judge Lyman issued his decision granting the motion to dismiss. Does that not sound familiar? Granting a motion to dismiss. I wonder who Judge Lyman has granted a motion to dismiss for, and he's connected to the one party that he favored through stocks. Shit, I can't remember. Oh yeah, it's Justin. I hope Brian Freeman reports Lyman to the bar. Is there anything, and exactly, with prejudice, exactly. Is there anything they can do with federal judges? Though it's a genuine question. I'm sure there's got to be some, like, this is repeated. Like, this was just a couple years ago, or maybe not. I don't know. What year is it? I don't even know anymore. I don't know what time of day it is anymore. Several pages of the court's opinion and many more pages of the parties' briefs were devoted to an issue that would have been unnecessary if Lyman had been forthcoming. So he has no problem lying to the courts. He has no problem covering his ass. He has no problem ruling in favor of companies that he has stocks attached to, and then continuing to lie while the court system invests time and money and effort based on his lies. And this is the best part. All of this, although the undisclosed investment was under $15,000, the appellant court held that Lyman's financial conflict required reversal under the mandatory, however small, rule of disqualification. The case was sent back to the trial court and assigned to a new judge who will have to start from the beginning. So 15,000 was under 15,000 that he had to report. Oh, shoot, I forget again. This ADHD memory. How much was it again? Oh yeah, $15,001 to $50,000 initially, and then he bought another $1 to $15,000 on February 6th and another $1 to $15,000 on February 12th. So the undisclosed amount was under $15,000 in his previous case, and the appellate court held that there was still a financial conflict that required reversal under the mandatory, however small, rule of disqualification. I think Blake's on a little bit of an early, what do you guys think? I think Blake's on a little bit premature celebration tour. I think Brian Freeman's hands are tied. I think they have to go through this court, then appeal. I'm sure they can bring something up at this point. I can't, like, maybe you're like, I'm not saying that's incorrect, but I just find it unjust. And that's a whole problem in and of itself. If you just had to be like, you have to see all this through and all that money and everything, and then see it later. Because I think they can appeal. Can't they appeal the dismissal of the two? Hello, hello. So nice to see you. Yeah, I usually don't stream at this time. And it's been a long day. But I was like, my perfectionist brain wanted all of the slides and everything nice and neat. And I was like, I don't even have time to like wash my face properly these days. So we're just going to raw dog it and we're just going to go with it. Okay. Let's see another article on this. Need some water. U.S. judges' financial conflict leads to revived law against big banks. Like, there's literally revised laws because of this man. This is wild. Thank you so much for the support. You are so sweet. I love this community. Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds need mental help. Yes. I agree. I think Hollywood itself is just so corrupt. I feel like these people run around for so long, just strong arming and pushing and forcing. And so they figure like they can do whatever they want unchecked. And we're just in an era where it doesn't exist like that anymore. I think these people are getting a rude awakening. So this was posted July 2nd, 2024 on Reuters. US judges financial conflict leads to revived laws against big banks. And look at who that is. Judge Louis Lyman presides over the trial of Lawrence Ray in New York. This is just wild. New York, July 2nd, a U.S. appeals court threw out the dismissal of an antitrust lawsuit accusing 10 large banks of overcharging investors by billions of dollars of corporate bonds, saying the trial judge should have recused himself because his wife owns stocks in one of the banks, the bank that he favored. The Second U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals in Manhattan said that while U.S. District Judge Louis Lyman almost certainly unknowingly had a conflict of interest, his partiality could reasonably be questioned because his wife's ownership of Bank of America's stock created an appearance of impropriety. Yeah, I agree. And I think that's the problem we're seeing here as well. It looks like you're crooked, Judge Lyman. It looks like you can be bought. Like, this is a bad episode of like The Rookie or something. I'm just starting to watch The Rookie. This is basically a bad episode of something like that, where you go, there's no way this shit goes down. And then you see something like this, and you're like, oh, this actually does. A spokesperson for the Manhattan Federal Court, where Lyman works, declined to comment. Tuesday's unsigned decision came nearly 3 years after the Wall Street Journal's investigation found that more than 130 federal judges had since 2010 violated federal law and judicial ethics by overseeing cases involving companies in which their family members own stock. Like, this is all about stock. And he owns stock in T-Mobile. You cannot make this up. You cannot make this up. Lyman, an appointee of former President Donald Trump, was assigned the lawsuit in April 2020 and dismissed with prejudice. With prejudice. He loves his with prejudice. In October 2021, 3 months after his wife sold 15,000 of Bank of America stock. In February 2022, a court clerk alerted parties to the conflict, writing the judge that the ownership of stock neither affected nor impacted his decision. So this is what the other article said as well. It wasn't clear when he learned of the conflict. However, the bank said Lyman's failure to uncover his conflict didn't require recusal or reviving the case. But the appeals court found a legitimate risk. Well, no shit. The bank said Lyman's failure to uncover his conflict didn't require recusal. That's like Blake and Ryan saying, no, we're totally cool with him. We're totally cool with him on the case. Of course. He doesn't need to be recused from this because we're benefiting. That is the most absurd thing I've ever heard. What is going on with this world? But the appeals court found a legitimate risk that similar violations could undermine public confidence in the judicial process. How's your confidence feeling, guys? How is your confidence feeling? And if you're new to the channel, I always forget to say, please like, subscribe, hang out with us. I try to do lives daily, but I have a background in branding, marketing, and PR. So we tend to look at these cases from the lens of branding, marketing, and PR. And I like to do investigations as well. So there's a whole playlist on investigations. But I just had to come live with you guys today and talk about this. Document he makes money from Ryan and Blake's success. Sorry, I was like, no, it's good. Did you see Cassidy O'Connell's new YouTube? No, I do. As I said earlier, y'all, the only creator I'm watching right now is Emily D. Baker. Because I legitimately, when I say my days are packed, because for those that are newer to the channel, we have a farm animal sanctuary that we run on the property. We have a farm. I have 2 businesses, and I do this. Let's just say I don't have a minute. So it is good. I'm glad other people are covering it. I have absolutely no idea what other people have said. But the appeals court found a legitimate risk that's similar. Oh, we already read that. U.S. Supreme Court Chief Justice John Roberts highlighted in his 2021 annual report on the judiciary a need for judges to be vigilant about financial conflicts. Apparently, Judge Lyman needs to be reminded about this. George Zelks, a lawyer for the investors, said, "We look forward to litigating the case on the merits before Judge Caproni." Yeah, so we have all that. So again, 2020, we know he had $15,000, a very minimum of $15,001, a maximum of $50,000 in T-Mobile, and then he purchased $1 to $15,000 February 6th, $1 to $15,000. It's a range that he has to report within on February 12th. Now, here's the thing. What we're going to talk about next. Originally, I was like, yeah, like, I don't know. It's weird. But when you start to add up all the weird shit with the connection between Blake, Ryan, and Judge Lyman, it just kind of makes you go, just one too many coincidences. So little things that don't seem like a big deal, like his connection and Blake's connection to Selma Hayek. She was seen with Selma Hayek, and the husband's a billionaire, and there's connections between all of them. Those little things, they don't seem like big deals until you start to add up all of the issues. And then it starts to make you look at it sideways. So originally, this didn't throw me off. And it didn't make me think much of it. I thought it was interesting, and I kind of put like a pin in it. But Blake Lively's tie to Judge's brother revealed after her shocking win in Justin Baldoni's case. Fans erupted online after it was revealed that Blake Lively has a connection to Judge Lyman, who dismissed Justin Baldoni's $400 million countersuit against her. On Monday, Judge Lyman, currently serving on the United States District Court for the Southern District of New York, threw out Justin Baldoni's defamation and extortion lawsuit against Lively, her husband, Ryan Reynolds, and the New York Times. I'm genuinely curious. So if he started, let's say at the upper end, $50,000 in 2020, let's just say upper end, he had $50,000 in T-Mobile stock, then he had again, go to upper and $15,000 and another $15,000. I mean, we're talking this guy. I can't find within the reporting for last year. The most recent one I can find is 2023. It's potential this guy's over $100,000 in stock. Potentially, if he continued to buy. It looks like he continued to buy. That's a lot of money potentially on the line. Was he concerned about his stock? If Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively lost a $400 million lawsuit and no one wanted to hire them again? If they became the pariahs of Hollywood? Because here's the thing, Ryan Reynolds is a personal brand. So any of his businesses, including like the T-Mobile, Mint Mobile, I know it's the acquisition now. I don't know what the official, I guess you just call it T-Mobile. He's the face of it. And when you're looking at a personal brand, when you as a person take a hit, say a $400 million defamation suit for calling, and also for Ryan calling someone a predator, that might take a hit to the different companies that Ryan is linked to. There's no way, especially if he has that kind of money. It's not like he had $10 or $100 invested in T-Mobile, and he damn well knew he did if you have that kind of money. You're meaning to tell me he had no concerns at all? I'm just going to plug in my computer. No concerns at all? That all of a sudden his stock might tank? The judge found that Lively statements were made within privileged court documents and therefore could not serve as a basis for Baldoni's claims. Legal battle stems from, we already know that. After the ruling, online attention quickly shifted to Judge Lyman's family ties. The internet does, what does Emily say? The internet, and I can't remember how she puts it, but she has a saying for it. But the internet did the internet things. So everyone started looking at Judge Lyman. He is the brother of Hollywood director Doug Liman, who worked with Lively in 2008 when she and then boyfriend Penn Badgley, who also she tried to destroy his life, appeared in a pro-Obama commercial directed by Lyman for MoveOn.org's Youth Vote program. I'd actually be interested to know. He's a Hollywood director. I wonder if he knows Ari Emanuel by any chance. That was just something that I was thinking of. Social media buzzed about the bizarre link after an ex-user posted, fun fact, the judge that dismissed Justin Baldoni's claims against Blake Lively is Louis Lyman, brother to Hollywood director Doug Lyman. Doug and Blake worked together. Okay, there's supposed to be a period. Doug and Blake worked together years ago. Small world. Some users responded by accusing Lively and Reynolds of yielding influence behind the scenes, calling for Judge Lyman to have recused himself. And even if they didn't, again, even if they weren't like wink, wink, nudge, nudge, the fact that if all brands attached to Ryan Reynolds tanked, the potential for his stock to plummet and him lose a lot of money. Another added, I don't understand how he could preside then. That's a conflict of interest, I'd assume. Others dismissed the controversy as overblown, noting that Lively's only connection to Doug Lyman was a brief appearance in a commercial nearly 2 decades ago. As one user pointed out, because his brother directed a show with thousands of actors 18 years ago, his years of being a lawyer and judge become invalid. Y'all are delusional and ridiculous. And see, this is the thing. My initial thought was like, that's interesting. Like I said, I kind of put a pin in it, didn't overthink it. But when you start to see everything add up, that's what the problem is. Leo. Nick Shapiro left a horse head at the foot of Judge Lyman's bed. That is hilarious. That is funny. So someone else says, another echo, do you think this judge would dismiss a lawsuit because Blake did a commercial with his brother? See, this is the piece that people are missing. When you start to add up everything, no, they're not dismissing. Oh my gosh, I can't. How did Elsie put it once? Common sense is chasing you, but you're running faster, I think is how she put it. It just reminds me, like, exactly that. Common sense is chasing you, but you're running faster. Like, come on. It has nothing to do with that. It's power, it's connections. And then when you add the T-Mobile stock on top of it, he has the potential to lose a lot of money if it tanks. DailyMail.com has not received a response to its request for comment from either Lively or Baldoni's representative. So it looks like even Daily Mail's reached out to be like, hey, Friedman, you have any idea that this is going down? So this was yesterday. So Friedman knows now for sure, because it looks like news outlets are starting to reach out. Judge Louis Lyman currently serves on the U.S. State's District Court for the Southern District of New York, having been confirmed to the bench in December 2019 after a distinguished legal career. Are you sure about that? That included roles as an assistant United States attorney and deputy chief of appeals in the same district, according to Calder Institute. So there's the post, I think, that went out on Twitter. Yeah, Perella. That's a great name. Fun fact, the judge that dismissed Justin Baldoni's claims against Blake Lively is Louis Lyman, brother to Hollywood director Doug Lyman. Doug and Blake worked together years ago. It has a bunch of posts. His brother Doug pursued a career in film, directing major Hollywood projects such as what? Okay, what? His brother Doug pursued a career in film, directing major Hollywood projects such as the Bourne Identity franchise, indie films like Swingers and Lockdown, and worked with Tom Cruise on Live, Die, Repeat, and American Made. This isn't like some rando then. What? I didn't realize that his brother was like a bigger name. It says, while social media users continue to debate the issue, there has been no clear indication of a legal conflict of interest in the situation at this time. Daily Mail, there is. Daily Mail. We have to get this to the Daily Mail. On Monday, Lively released a statement hours after Judge Lyman dismissed Baldoni's case. Girl knew that this was happening. I find it hard to believe that she wouldn't have known. Lively, who shares 4 children with husband. Okay, this is a little aside. It's interesting how every news outlet will say that she shares 4 children with Ryan Reynolds, but you never hear anything about Justin Baldoni's wife and children, ever. Lively, who shares 4 children with husband Ryan Reynolds, vowed that she was more resolved than ever to continue to stand for every woman's right to have a voice and protecting themselves, including their safety, their integrity, their dignity, and their story. With love and gratitude for the many who stood by me, many of you I know, many of you I don't, but I will never stop appreciating or advocating for you. Lyman dismissed Baldoni's suit alleging defamation and extortion on the basis that all Lively's allegations were made within privileged court papers. Lyman said in the order obtained by Daily Mail, the Wayfair parties have not alleged that Lively is responsible for any statements other than the statements in her CRD complaint, which are privileged. How about how everything got found with the Shamzan lawsuit? The Wayfair parties have alleged that Reynolds and publicist Leslie Sloan made additional statements accusing Baldoni of misconduct, and that the Times made additional statements accusing Wayfair parties of engaging in a smear campaign. But the Wayfair parties have not alleged that Reynolds, Sloan, or the Times would have seriously doubted these statements were true based on the information available to them, as is required for them to be liable for defamation under applicable law. The Wayfair parties' additional claims also fail. Accordingly, the amended complaint must be dismissed in its entirety, which is what Lyman did with the case in favor of the banks, which was billions of dollars. The judge ruled the Times reviewed the available evidence and reports, perhaps in a the judge ruled the Times reviewed the available evidence and reported, perhaps in a dramatized manner, what it believed to have happened. The Times had no obvious motive to favor Lively's version of events. Coming from the guy that is supposed to recuse himself from cases but doesn't. He's the guy that was like, yeah, I owned stock in that company and that bank and Bank of America, and I was supposed to disclose that because it's like legally I'm supposed to disclose that and recuse myself, but I didn't. But like, trust me, bro, which is basically Blake Lively's entire defense. Trust me, bro, that, you know, I wasn't influenced by that. So he's like, the Times, they have no motive. What is motive anyway? This is painful. Lyman, however, did state the Wayfair parties will be able to file a second amended complaint by June 23rd, 2025, but are only able to amend the alleged allegations relevant to the claims of tortious interference with contract and breach of implied covenant. Now I need to know. Give me a second. Let me see if I can find something really quick. I was not expecting that. That's wild. This piece here. Okay, so Judge Lyman, I was just searching, is represented by CAA, which is it's like basically WME, just a different agency. But I think actually the Jason Bourne franchise. Let me just see. We're finding out things in real time, guys. I have not got this far on my own. Jason Bourne series being shopped, leaving Universal. WME is representing the estate. WME is shopping the rights to the Spy franchise. WME represents the late author Robert Ludlum's estate and is shopping the rights after they left Universal. It's all a web. It is all a web. The judge will have problems. He'll regret it. Believe me. I hope so. All positive vibes. I need a glass of wine after today. I feel like the only way people will get it is to use their social media screensaver to post their text messages on their pages. So what are you guys thinking about that? Judge acted as lawyer for Blake. I do agree with that. It's wild. And there was clear, like, The whole time he was clearly biased. Everything Justin did, they got reprimanded like toddlers by him. It's the exact same thing in the Karen Reed case with Judge Bev or whatever her name is. Like the way she talks to the defense should concern everyone, whether you think she's guilty or not. What is happening in that case, what is happening in this case, should concern everyone. All right, so, you might be able to argue that's a loose connection, that, he directed the Bourne Identity franchise and then it got repped by WME, but it's a small ass world and CAA is no laughing matter either. Like it's basically the same level as WME. CAA is partially owned by Selma Hayek's husband. Well, there you go. Blake Lively Ryan Reynolds met Selma for lunch on May 13th in New York. Many more connections too. Yeah, I don't even doubt that. So partially owned by her husband. And see, that's interesting to me because when you look back at Ryan and Blake and Taylor Swift, even, I hate to mention her name again, but I'm going to do it. Around that time where they're like, when you look back at the timeline, there were a lot of pictures when it would have been around the time, I think, that there was like these arguments on set and yelling at Justin Baldoni. All of a sudden, Blake, Ryan, and Taylor were everywhere. It was kind of weird. And like pap walk everywhere. And it kind of gave that feeling of like an Easter egg or like, baby, we got bad blood. Like we're strutting around, like you're going to see us together, me and my dragons type energy. So it's interesting because that back then I thought was odd because I thought that's weird. Like you never saw them together this much. And all of a sudden everywhere on my feed was Blake, Ryan, and Taylor. And then you get Blake out with Selma Hayek a month ago. It's interesting. The agency that represents his brother is owned by Selma Hayek. Yeah. So there you go. Is that the time they went out for the pap walk? You got it. And again, it caught my attention because it was weird to me back when the three of them were always doing pap walks. And I thought it seems like an Easter egg of some sort. And looking back to me, it now looks like it was an Easter egg towards Justin Baldoni, like me and my dragons. You really going to take us down? Are you really going to take us on? Just give me what I want. And I wonder if it was kind of like an Easter egg again. Like you're going to like, good luck, buddy. Good luck. You're going to take us down. A pap smear, a pap walk, paparazzi. Oh, that's funny. Speaking of paps, need to make a call. Please hold. Yeah, I love it. All right, guys. Well, this is wild. This is genuinely. So the fact that Selma Hayek and Blake were seen out, I have an old content well before she was seen with Selma that I had said, lots of content actually, where I said, I think it was an Easter egg. I think they were trying to say something. And looking back on it now, I guess it was an Easter egg being out with Selma. I think Blake tries to be Taylor, leaving these Easter eggs. And it was like, look at my connections. And the connections go deeper because Nick Shapiro is connected to Ari Emanuel's brother because they were both in politics at the same time. Like the connections are wild. So she brings on Nick Shapiro, who is connected to Ari Emanuel's brother. And it's Rahm Emanuel. And there's some other, I can't get into it too much right now, but I've been looking around that, sniffing around that as well. But I can confirm that there's connections through politics. Dragon eggs, literally dragon eggs. So there's connections on that side with Ari Emanuel. There's the connections on the CAA side with Judge Lyman's brother, Selma Hayek. Again, that, it could be nothing. Probably is nothing. But again, when you see all these odd connections of her brother having major motion pictures, like the Bourne Identity, Swingers, Lockdown, working with Tom Cruise on Live, Die, Repeat, American Made. Like, these aren't, it's not a no one that's just trying to make it. I don't know. Yes, Rahm Emanuel, that's his name. Nick Shapiro and Ari Emanuel, yeah. Yes, he is also a former mayor. You got it. You're right. This whole thing is one big PR and power war. It's exactly what it is. It's exactly what it is. And that's why I love talking about the PR side of things. This is a little off topic from the, see, I'm losing my voice. I've talked so much today. This is a little bit off topic from the PR side of things, but at the end of the day, it is connected as well because it is all PR. It's all who you know. It's all the connections you can pull. And now it feels a little bit more also that Easter egg that she was leaving with Salma Hayek when a month later, all of Justin's stuff gets dismissed, other than like the little, like, throw him a bone type stuff. So what now? Are we effed? Good question. Good question. I would hope, this is my hope, but God, I'm not a lawyer, so what do I know? My hope is that Brian Freeman could bring it up now, because if we look at his case previously, it was something that came out later. They had to go to the appeals court, and then it got dismissed and they went back. Like, I would hope because it's dismissed with prejudice that they can deal with those now and appeal that now. Like the $400 million defamation, the $250 million with New York Times, but can they? I genuinely don't know. But I think he should be, I genuinely think, and I imagine he will, Brian Freeman should be bringing this to people's attention. And hopefully the media picks this up as well. Because nothing is driving me crazier right now, knowing this and seeing Blake gallivant around town with her smug smile. And I think that's why and you look back, guys, and if you watch my original videos on this from the very beginning, I said she should have just gone away. Her best move would have been to go away and let her team handle it, but she never did. And now when you look back on it, it's like, well, maybe she never did. She knew it was all going to get tossed. Maybe she never did walk away. Maybe she never did step away from the public eye. She's like, whatever. My CIA PR guys connected to Ari Emanuel and Rahm Emanuel, and the judge is connected to CAA and Salma Hayek, and she's a friend of mine, and the husband's like owns CAA. She's probably like, whatever. I got this in the bag. It would have to be an outside entity that reported on this. Interesting. I didn't know that. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. Khaleesi wants Justin to pap smear her, not smear campaign. You guys are funny. It's only litigation stage. Can they catch us on time? I genuinely don't know. I hope so. She loses, the judge could pay her behind closed doors. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. It's the only way it makes sense on why she didn't go away and why she's been so confident the whole time. I think she knew from the get-go that this was going to happen. And it also makes sense because she was ready to go to an event just hours later on her victory tour. It just all seems a little too convenient. Seems like a little too convenient. I just mean it could hurt if the judge stays. Oh, for sure. We should all email the courthouse and get this judge recused and barred. Yeah, I don't think that's a bad idea, actually, emailing the courthouse. All right, guys, that's what I got for you. Hi, Tundi. I'm all done for the day, my love. We'll go relax. That's all I have for you guys today. This case gives me a migraine. This case is wild. So anyway, let's pull up one last time the furthest back document I could find, which is the financial disclosure from Lyman. So in 2020, and if you're just hopping on at the beginning, I have a timeline as well as the connection between Mint Mobile and T-Mobile. 2020, he disclosed $15,001 to $50,000 of T-Mobile stock but he bought more on February 6th and 12th, $1 to $15,000 on the 6th, $1 to $15,000 on the 12th. Like, this guy could potentially have upwards of $100,000. Saging. Yeah, where is my sage? Oh, there it is. I always have sage ready to go after calls about Justin and Blake and Ryan, not because Justin's bad, but just this whole energy of this case is bad. It's just gotta cleanse. All right, guys, I'm going to leave it at that. If anything else comes up in regards to that, I will let you guys know, but we'll go live tomorrow. I don't have any do I have any client calls? Let me check before I promise. I do not. We will go live tomorrow at our usual between like 10:30 a.m. Eastern, 11:30 a.m. Eastern. I'm sure something will pop off overnight. I have no doubt about it. But overall, this judge has a history of not recusing himself. He's been reprimanded for this in the past. He's been caught for this in the past, to the point that laws were tightened in regards to disclosure for judges, and he did it all over again. So I think that Blake knew all along that things were going to go in her favor, and that's why she's out doing a victory tour. We need t-shirt sleeves. We do need t-shirts. We do. I'm going to have to get us some t-shirts made. Great coverage. Well, thank you, my friends. Thank you for being here. Watch Cassidy. Dude, I'm not even joking when I say I don't have time to watch it. I am sure everyone else covering it is fantastic. I can't. I am so immersed in this coverage, guys. Go support other creators. Please do. I just need to not sometimes just relax. Please go support other creators. There are so many incredible creators that are working their asses off to get this information out. I'm just so proud of everyone and the hard work everyone's been doing. Genuinely, they're genuinely nice people. Everyone that I've met so far in the space really just genuinely is fighting for truth and fighting for justice. So yes, please do support others. Unfortunately, I spend so much time talking about it now that I don't have the opportunity to watch others covering it as well. And I'll be honest, I do watch what I consume, because back when I used to be like, I watch Candace and I watch this, the comments would be like, you stole this from Candace and you stole this from that person. So now I just don't watch. Now I just do my own thing. Make a Justice for Justin shirt. Yes, I'll look into getting some t-shirts made. I think my husband looked at getting t-shirts done. We will do that. But yes, now I just mind my own business in my own little corner of the internet, hang out with you guys, and then hang out with the animals after. But anyway, guys, thank you again so much for being here. Yes, please like the stream on your way out. Support other content creators. Support truth. Send emails talking about this to the courthouse, to Daily Mail, to Variety. Like, the more you guys get this information out, the more you hound Daily Mail and all these places. They cannot ignore you. You hold the power. People hold the power. And more than ever, we need powerful people, seemingly powerful people like Blake, to realize they're not playing by the old rules anymore. We make the rules. She's not in charge anymore. All right, guys, with that, I hope you have a fabulous evening, and I'll see you guys tomorrow around 10:30, 11 a.m. Eastern. Have a great night, guys. Bye.